Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're here today, and I'm sure you are too. And today, I've got this piece of calcite. And this particular piece of calcite came from, well, I think it was from Tennessee. And apparently it was out of what appeared to be some geodes. And, well, when I was at class the other day, one of my junior students came up and said, "Mr. Clay, can you do something with this rock?" And, well, of course I can do something with the rock, because it's a rock. And my first thought was, well, I'll do something with it. I'll take it and go right on top of his head. But I figured he was a little young, so I think the humor would have been lost. So instead I said, yeah, I'll take and cut this for you. And after a little bit of discussion, we decided on what we were going to do to make this a nice display rock. So let's take a look at this calcite. And there's some nice, there's some really nice crystal structure on this side. And here is the outside of the geode itself. And this side, this is where they had cut it out of the geode, and there's some very nice colorations in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this a display piece. We're going to flatten this side up, polish this side and this side here, so that we get two display sides that are polished, and then two sides here, 1, 2, to show the original structure, which is a little bit better than bopping them on the head with it. But so this is going to be a demonstration on how to make a piece for display. So let's just head over to the wheel and let's get on it. All right, get the wheel going, get the water going. Ooh, yeah, we got water going everywhere. Alrighty, now the stone's a little wet. You can see that there is a lot of nice reds in there. Which I think it's going to be really great whenever we get this polished up. So when you're working a specimen that you want to put up as display, it's good to have water that works right. Okay, now we got some steady water going. Okay, if you have a specimen like this, it was has one side cut, then you can come like 90 degrees off of that side to get yourself a nice edge to set down with. Yeah, my lips are not working real well today, and my words aren't coming out right. So what's abnormal about that? Huh. It's like normally I would actually take this over on the saw, since I have a flat plane to start with, and then make a flat saw cut. But seeing as how this is calcite, it's not going to take a lot of grinding to get that smoothed up nicely so it'll set. So I didn't think it was necessary. That's a judgment call on you. If you're doing this for yourself, that's where you make the big decisions. Okay, so it's not really hard to get yourself a nice setting platform. I'm not going to go too wild on how far I take this down. You can see there's just a little bit of a bow to it. So if I take it across the wheel this way, I can get that edge smoothed up. And if we look closely, you can see that, well, that's actually pretty darn good. So I'm just going to take that across there, work that edge a little bit, and, well, that sets pretty nicely. So I think we're pretty well done. And it's not going to matter, there's a divot on that in this side, because that's the side that it's setting on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on these two sides that we were going to polish up as display. So the easiest thing to do is just work it like it would be a cabochon. I'm going to... I mean, you could take and polish this flat, but I sort of like putting that curved edge on there. So it'll catch the light better and you don't get like a reflective mirror surface that is sometimes difficult to see. Not difficult to see, but it reflects the light too directly. If it's somewhat smooth, like a cabochon, then it's not going to be as hard to look at directly. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. All right, this being calcite, you can see that did not take long just to get a slight, and you can see we got a slight arc on there. So that's pretty much domed up. Now this side's going to be a little bit bigger. But being calcite, it's not going to take long to put a nice dome on that. Now what is going to happen is, because this is calcite and this is an 80 grit wheel, it is going to chew it up a little bit. So I'm going to be actually pretty gentle with this, just to get a little bit of a dome on that, and then do most of the work on the 600 grit wheel. Okay, so yeah, see right there, we're getting just a little bit of a dome on there. And I could probably take this over right now and do the rest of that. And actually, I think I am, because this is going to tear it up pretty good, and I can probably get a nicer job. Because if running your fingers across this edge especially, I'm getting, see, I don't know if you can see them or not, but there's grits, you know, we're getting, yeah, you can see it. And that's because this wheel is so aggressive with this softer calcite. So let's kill the water, set that down there, and then I'm going to jiggle your eyeballs out while I move the camera over to the other wheel. Alrighty, so we are on the other wheel. Let's get some water going. Water everywhere. Alright, now I'm going to hit this bottom, what in the world? Yeah. And hit this bottom piece. And I'm not going to put much pressure on this at all. And I'm trying to keep from, you know, I don't want to put a curved edge on this one. And you can do that by doing it like I'm doing it here. You're not going to get it perfectly flat, but you're going to get it flat enough that it is not going to cause you grief when you're trying to set it. You know, and if you have, like, that sets very nice. Yeah, you can't argue with that. Alright, so let's do on this side. Now, this is going to hold true with just about any type of specimen that you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's calcite or carnelian or a geode or thunder egg or anything like that. You're going to use this, basically the same techniques to, you know, polish one or two sides, and, you know, it's really up to you. It's up to you how you want your specimen to look. Okay, and like I said, this being calcite, it's not going to take long at all. Let me dry it off there. And you can see there's undercutting in there, and I don't think that is from the 80 grit wheel. I think that is from the nature of this calcite. Because if you even look over here, there's voids between the crystals. You know, and hey, that's what you got. So I'm going to work over this a good many times to try to get as many of those voids out as possible. Because this finer wheel will not tear out loose, or not say loose, but material that's not very tight. Let's put it that way. wipe this off. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, as you can see, there are a lot of voids in there. Like, there's a gnarly. There's a big gnarly. There's two gnarlies right there. And this is the nature of calcite in the crystal form this way. So you deal with it. Best thing is when you get to the polish, you don't use something that might fill in those voids that'll make it more difficult to get out, like cerium oxide. I'll probably just use ZAM on this. Now, the cerium oxide will get into those voids, and if you're careful and, you know, spray it out as you go, make sure it doesn't dry into those voids, you can avoid the color in the voids, or you can use something like ZAM where you're not going to get any in it at all. Okay, let's see. Nope, didn't get enough water off. Well, because the water is running right down into it as I get done. That's why. Okay, as you can see, there are still voids in that big gnarly here. The one above it's opening up a little bit more. And it's not just gnarlies. Let's see how close we can get. There's like little spider cracks all through it too. And like I said, that's the nature of the calcite. I'm just going to work this a few more times like this. I'm just putting a nice, not 90-degree flat plane on there. It's going to be a little bit of a dome because I think it looks better. I mean, there's something to be said about a nice piece of carnelian that you cut a slice off of, or it's a nice, beautiful, flat, polished piece. Yeah, I think that's about the best we're going to get there. But I'm doing it this way. You can do however you like, but this is one way that you can do it. So try it a couple ways. So I'm just going to work this larger face the same way, and I think I might take... I was thinking of taking... Focus! Oh, come on. Okay. Taking this corner off. But I might leave that a nice crisp corner on this one, because we want to. And as always, what you're hoping for is to make your stone into the best version of itself. Just like you should do with you. Become the best version of you. Unless you're like a serial killer, then you don't want to be the best serial killer. That would be something you'd want to stop. But in general, become the best version of yourself. And I'm hoping this side may not have as many voids and spider cracks and gnarlifications in there as the other side did. Because sometimes, depending on the direction that the crystals seem to be going, it seems, you may get one side that's not as cracked up and gnarlified as the other. And I should have pretty much all of this hit. Yeah. Okay, I still got a few. So you can sometimes tell the difference between the gnarlies, like there's a gnarly, there's a gnarly. But over here, there's some very, very, right here. Come on, you gonna show up? No, you're not. Lines going this direction, they're very uniform. And that was probably from the 80 grit wheel. So I'll have to get down a little bit more and try to get those out. It'd be nice to have like a 100, maybe 150 or a 200 grit before I come over to the 300. I'd say probably a 200 would be great. I mean, it'd be nice to have an assortment of every grit of wheel that they make for every possible scenario you run into. And in general, I do good with this 80 grit to the 300 grit, and then so forth and so on. I don't want to do too many that way because of how long it is. I could get facets going across there just because of the length there. How many times can I put there in there when I say there? Yeah. Okay, one more time this direction. There. Now I'm trying to go across the entire surface when I do this. Make it uniform so I don't get, I get the least amount of faceting possible. Alright. As you can see, there's some really nice red in there, probably from iron deposits. Okay, focus! There. Alright, yes, I believe I've gotten all of those scratches that I put in with the other wheel out. Make it just slightly wet. Yes, I believe I do. And that's probably about as good as we can get due to the nature of the calcite. So that means let's shut off the water, and we're going to head over to the 600 grit wheel. Oh, we can shut this off too. And you know where we are? We are at the wheel of the bad valve, which actually is coming a little bit looser lately. Okay. So I'm going to do the bottom first, just because that's how I've been doing it. And we'll give this a nice going over. Try and smooth that up as much as possible. You can see some white slop coming off of there. But the calcite is soft, and even that 600 grit will wear away at it much more than it would with a harder material. Quick look at what it looks like. Focus. Oh yeah. Dry that off. Yeah, it's starting to pull a shine up already. I am pleased. Yeah, I don't think I need to do any more on that. Now let's go over this one. So when you're working a specimen for display, it's not rocket science, but it's more of a how do you want to display it? How many sides do you want to polish so you can see what it looks like? Or if you even want to polish a side to see what it looks like. That is totally up to you. Some people may just cut a flat spot on the bottom and polish that to a point so they can see nothing but the raw specimen, because they're not interested in that. And then if they are any, they have the bottom piece that is there if they want to look at the inside. I would say it depends on the stone that you're displaying. In this one I think I'm going to go a little bit along the length of it, because this is a soft wheel and it's going to be taking out facets instead of putting them in. So we don't have to worry too much about the soft wheel faceting up the stone. Ooh, heard pieces flying off there. I don't know if you heard that or not. Alrighty, let's take a look at this. Is one of those unwipey rags, those super microcloth rags that are supposed to dry off super good and don't do diddly. Dry off, okay. Yeah, that's pulling up a nice shine. It actually looks less good in the screen there, but hopefully it'll look better on the computer or whatever you're watching it on. I'm just going to hit this real quick once more, and then do the larger side and move on to the next wheel. As you can see, there's some white sludge coming off of there. That means that even, like I said earlier, even this softer material, the 600 grit, does take some off. Okay, let's take a look. Here, dry this off with another unwipey rag. Oh, come on now. Okay, there we go. Yes, that's looking pretty nice. That is looking, you see you've got areas that are really smooth and then areas of a different makeup that have some gnarlies and stuff in there. Overall, I think this one is ready to... I think this one's ready to hit this one's ready to go to the next wheel. Go, let us shut off the valve. Set that down there. Okay, let's get some water going. This is a 1200 grit wheel, so this will not take long at all. In fact, it's going to only take a few moments. I'm just going to hit each side. Is there water there? Yeah, there is. I'm going to hit each side just a little bit. Now, the 1200, even the softest calcite's not going to... Oh, I broke tradition and I didn't do the short side. I'm going over to the smaller side. Even 1200 grit's not going to really tear up the calcite too much. It's nice to have a new 1200 grit and then like a 2400 grit and a 5000 grit. And then I probably wouldn't have to even go to the polishing compounds with some of these stones. When I did shells, you get up to the 7000 grit and you almost didn't need to do a glass polish on them. But I still did. Okay, I'd say we are done with this. I'm just going to slightly go over that. Oh, that's going to turn my wheel up. Ooh! No, I don't want to do that. Okay. So, it's all wet. And it's shiny and it looks good. And we're going to kill the water here. We're going to take this over to the desk. And I'm going to hit this with the ZAM. Hit this with the ZAM. And then we'll take a look at it. Well, before we do that, I'm just going to wipe this off. So we get an idea of how it looks. Man, I can't get the water off of that. Okay, there it is, pretty dry. So right there, that looks fairly shiny. When we hit it with the ZAM, that is going to bring that up to a beautiful, beautiful glassy polish. So, maybe over to the desk. Don't go away. Okay, we're back. And hit this with the ZAM. So let's take a look at it close up. So here is what we got on the big side. As you can see, there are those little micro fractures and cracks that are in there. But, man, did that polish up nice. I really do hope that the camera picks up the depth in there, but I don't think it's going to. And this side, it came out nice too. There is a lot of depth in this hunk of calcite. Bottom, it came out pretty good. It's not perfect. There is a lot of crackages in there. But this is where the magic is. I can't believe I said that. This is where it looks really good. Yeah, that sounds better. I mean, it's got a very good glassy polish, but you still have those cracks and fissures in there that's, you know, common with this type of calcite. And as a display piece, oh man, you know, that's going to set down like that. Doesn't look too good at this angle, but you can set that there. You can display each side, any side that you want, and then even this side you can just see both. Well, you can see both polished and natural, and this way you can see both polished and natural. And, oh, yeah, right here. Let me zoom in on that again. Right here, there is a pretty large, there you can see it pretty good. There is a pretty nice hunk of iron there that hasn't oxidized yet. And, oh yeah, there you can see it. You know, so it's definitely iron in that that's making that red. Okay, it's probably pyrite. Probably pyrite. But whatever you want to say about it, this stone is a win. So if you liked the video, hit the button down there, subscribe, ring the bell, then you'll know when I'm doing all this kind of stuff. And I hope that helped you out if you want to have a display piece. I mean, when it comes down to display pieces, you can do them however you want. But one like this, you can set, and you can see, you know, two finished sides, or, well, actually, you can see two finished sides if you put it this way, two rough sides if you put it this way, or rough finished and rough finished. So, you know, I sort of like to do them this way. So, everybody, thanks for spending some time with me, and have a good evening.